Hey guys, this is Eric Weingartner with Weingartner Racing. You know I got the new small block Mopar plate in to flow heads on my flow bench. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. So today in this video we're going to flow two different sets of Mopar heads. We have a stock casting that's been ported, and then we've got a set of Procomp CNC ported heads that we're going to flow as well. We'll see how they compare. This will be kind of interesting, get to see it all. No whiteboards, I don't do that stuff, just real world flow numbers and information. Here we go. Here's our stock casting heads, and I'll show you the casting number right now. I don't know if Mopar guys read them different than Chevrolet, but clearly this is a Mopar casting. But if you look at it, if it was a Chevrolet, we'd say this is a 140 casting. I don't know if you guys do it in a different way or whatnot. Well, actually, I have it. This is weird. But anyway, there's your number for all those Mopar guys. I'm sure I'll get corrected because that looks like a B. Maybe you say it's B500, but Chevrolet, we just do the last three numbers. But anyway, this is the head. There's some more stuff if you want to look at it and see what it is. But here we are. This is it. It's a nice looking head. These have been ported. Now, I didn't port these because if you know from the end of my videos, my true fans, I don't port cast iron heads. I did long ago. I don't do it anymore. I have no desire for that torture. However, these came in from a customer of mine, and he actually has, if I'm being honest, the best flowing small block Chevy heads I've ever had on my bench are his. But he's also got some Mopar heads here today. Now these ones, he didn't port himself. There was a guy named Shady Dell that ported these. I don't even know if this guy's still alive. I kind of remember him from some of the forums, but I don't know if he's even still around. But he had ported these. And I didn't take any measurements because it's a stock casting, and I'll never port cast iron heads, so this has no value to me. It probably does for you guys, but whatever. Anyway, there's some things I will notice, I will tell you about. He did change the guides, I think, unless they came 8mm from the factory, which I didn't think they do. But these are 8mm guides, so it takes an 8mm valve. The intake valve is a 202. The exhaust is a 1.625. So it's a bigger than typical 1.6 that I usually see. I don't know what the stock valve sizes are on these heads, so I can't give you any indication of that. Obviously, he's done a valve job, you could tell on him, and then port work. He did leave a little red ledge here, which you can see, which this probably did hurt some of the low lift numbers, which I'll show you the flow numbers in a minute. But overall, it doesn't look all that bad. I was a little shocked because on a stock GM casting, because these are probably old, there's water that runs through here, but judging by how big the bowl is, because stock ones, GM ones will have them facing like this, because if you try to straighten it like this, like it should be, this is actually correct. If you try doing that on a stock GM one, besides the Vortex, you'll break through water. So that's pleasantly surprised. That's a good sign. But anyway, that's what it looks like there. If we look at the intake runners, they're not bad. Everything looks and seems fine there. No issues at all. And let me show you the exhaust. It's nice and ported. He didn't make them overly large. Doesn't look like that way to me anyway. So they seem like a normal size. This is about what I'd expect. So pretty good. And everything's set up on the signs bench. This is a 4030 bore. And let me go ahead and show you the flow numbers. Okay, here are the flow numbers for those that have it on the screen. I will read these out loud for those that can't look at the screen right now, so you can at least hear me, truck drivers and whatnot. Anyway, before I get to it, there is some gains that could be gained. You could clearly see there, that's the ridge I'm talking about, because that's the top cut, and that's that ridge. So if you were to remove this, and I think the customer's paying me to take this out anyway. It's not really porting, it's just getting rid of this stuff. It's a small gain. It'll really only help the peak, not peak, but the low lift flow, not peak won't change at all, hardly. Now the valves that were used, he actually has a pretty good back cut on this intake valve. So it's got a good one. And the exhaust valve is a tulip valve, so that actually helps flow too. Now to the flow numbers. So I care most about 4.6 and peak, but I'll read some of them. At 400, this goes 242 CFM, because I'm rounding up. That's pretty good for a 202 valve. It's really good. At 500, it goes 280. It's not bad at all, I think. And at 600, we're going 276. So if you notice, it starts trending down. It goes from 280 peak at 500. Every point after that, it's dropping. It comes up a little bit at 6, and then it's still trending down. At peak at 1 inch of valve lift, it's 260. And I know instantly, some of you are going to say, why are you flowing at 1 inch of valve lift? Nobody's running a 1 inch of valve lift, blah, blah. That happens so many times. There really are two reasons. Sometimes some of the heads, they actually do have a lot of lift. So it's not impossible to have a 1-inch valve lift, but that's not the real reason for most of it. As you increase the valve lift, it's pulling more air through the port. And what this does, by lifting it more, it acts as if the engine speed's higher. So what would the port do if the air speeds are faster? So in this case, if you see it dropping off and continue to keep dropping off, that means there's an airspeed issue in the port. Most of the time, it's the short side. It means the air now, because the valve's out of the way and it could move more air, the air speeds through the entire port are going faster, and it just jumps the short side, and you end up flowing less air. The reason why I flow to 1 inch, because let's say you just stopped, say at 7 or 6 even, you really wouldn't get a clear picture of what the issue is. Now, sometimes it will back up like what you see here, which it did do. So you saw it go 279, then it dropped to 270, and then gained at 276 at 6. That usually is something related in the chamber. When it goes backwards, then comes up, it's like a blockage in the chamber. Now the valve's around it and it frees. But if it continues to keep going down, that's an airspeed issue. So the valve lift, even though the chances of someone running a 1-inch valve lift is extremely rare, what it does tell me is how the air speeds through the port. So it's giving me an indication what's going on. And this is saying there's some airspeed in the port that's too fast, and chances are it's the short side. And there's probably not much they could do, because if you were to lay it back or to make it wider, chances are you're probably going to hit water. But it tells me things. Now let's talk about the exhaust. Exhaust is phenomenal. At 400 valve lift, we have 191. This without an exhaust pipe. And then it peaks at 213 at 1-inch valve lift. And notice it climbs the whole way. Good sign. And here's the other thing. This is not able to be captured on this sheet right here. So these numbers are fantastic for the exhaust. But what it doesn't capture on the sheet, and even in the video if I tried, the sound. So when I flow an exhaust port, the sound tells me a lot. If you hear it buffeting, like whoa, 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 not good. This one's nice and smooth and climbs all the way through, and it's actually quiet. What you want to hear is to be quiet. The ideal thing is when the valve opens, as it opens, it gets quieter. That's what we want to hear. This one was quiet throughout. So in overall, the head, I don't know what the stock one is. I've never flowed a stock casting. But this head, if this was an aftermarket head, someone brought it to me and said, hey, I'd say, this is a street deal, maybe you got a 340. I think this is a good head. I think you should run fine with this. You're like, well, you didn't measure the cross-sectional area here. I would like to do a video, and I probably will, about how unimportant the CSA is below 6,000 RPM. And people will argue with me about it. But remember, I do dyno tests. And when you can have a head with, we'll just do volume first. You have a head that's 230 cc's and you have another one that's 180 cc's. That's a huge difference. It's 50 cc difference in port. But then you do look at the minimum CSA. You've got one that's got a minimum CSA that's like 1.9 and the other one's 2.4, and both make the same torque and horsepower, almost identical, below 6,000. That tells you that maybe those numbers aren't that critical and there's other factors that are playing a part. They are to me, so this is the reason why I'm saying that. I know I got a little off track here. The CSA is important, but if you're below 6,000, it's less important. I'm just saying it because the dyno test keeps proving this out. That minimum CSA below 6,000 is less critical. Once you're in the 6,500, it starts making more difference, and definitely the higher RPMs you go, then the conversation changes. But this head probably going on the thing, I mean, I couldn't measure and tell you, but it looks like it's got pretty good. You making this bigger, if you made this minimum CSA bigger and you have this on a street deal, one can improve your performance. You shrinking it down ain't gonna improve your performance. Anyway, now, since we got this one on the way, let me go get that Procomp head and let's put it on the flow bench and we'll flow that one. Here are the Procomp heads, the CNC ported ones, and they're not stock. So if you get them stock ever, just so you know, they're unusable. The biggest thing is the valve job won't seal. They literally just did the valve job, cut over the existing seat, and all you have is a 45 and nothing else. And part of the 45 is gone where the CNC cutter's hitting the top of the 45 when it's doing the chambers, and it's also hitting it underneath. It's unusable. So they might say ready to bolt on, bare. No, they are not. They're absolutely not. So I have already redone the valve job just so it's sealed, but because of that, then it didn't have enough angles. it didn't have any. You could barely get the 45 on. The valve size increased. So this is a 2055 intake valve. Stock is supposed to be 202, but obviously it won't clear. The exhaust is 1.6. Here's something else. So the other head that you just saw, the stock one, was an 8mm. These are 11/32 stems. So it's different. And I'm not, if you're, please Mopar guys, because I know you're kind of the worst about this, don't beat me up on all this stuff on the Mopar specs and blah, 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 1968 W89, whatever, something. But anyway, when I tell you the stuff on the heads, this is definitely different than the other one. And you can tell me what it is, just don't be rude, please. If you notice, the valve cover bolts are missing some compared to that one that's over there. Those definitely had another ones inside, so that's probably different as well. But anyway, this obviously bolts down the small block Mopar because it bolts on my plate. The exhaust ports themselves are different because the other ones were kind of square, and this one you got more area down. So they're bigger as well. Anyway, here's what was also done, modifications to it. This head is super, super rough. And I think Brian is the guy that owns this. I think he tried taking off some of the CNC work because it was like they fed the machine so fast so they can make a buck. So it's on the CNC machine as less as possible so they get it off to get the next one going. But it leaves really rough for CNC lines, and that looks like what he took out some of that. So that's also not stock. But here's something else I'm going to show you real quick. So if you can see this right here, this is splash zone. Brian put that in there because this is your valve cover bolt. What they had done is they have it too deep. And it's not at the end of the world. I mean, you could have got away without it. But from the factory, that broke through that hole here, and then also on that port here, but you can't see it. On two of them, it breaks through. So if you didn't put some kind of sealer or something on here, you'll have a vacuum leak into your port. So his solution was, hey, just put some epoxy, no big deal. This isn't that huge of a deal because if you really heavy port some small block Chevys like the 461s, the same thing will happen. You just remember to put sealer, no big deal. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. But he took off the CNC lines as well, but not that it really makes that much of a difference. Anyway, let me go ahead and show you the flow numbers because that's really what you're here for. So here they are. So at 400, that's the number I care the most about. 249.5. How did they compare to the other one? The stock casting? That was 242. So these are up about 7. At 500, the Procomp's 273 versus the ported stock ones 279. So it's actually worse. 550 though, it's 277 on the Procomp versus 270. So it's better at 550. I should also point out too, below 400, the Procomp's better significantly. I mean, if you look at 200, 128 versus 136 or 37. So it's quite a bit up. Also, it took it all the way to 1 inch. It does go backwards. So it goes from peak at 277, then drops 275, then back to 277, then 272, 73, 75, 79. Notice that climbs right here at the end. This gives, like I said, an indication of airspeed. Probably because this port's bigger, it's able to maintain it. It's still not right because it should climb the whole way, but it's not. So it's better airspeed wise because this factory one's too fast. So will it work? Absolutely. But it's definitely giving an indication that it's separating on the short side. This one's doing it, just not as bad. Anyway, on the exhaust side, though, it's a different story altogether. It's kind of disappointing. So if we look at 400 on the stock casting was 191. We are 179 with this Procomp head. And that's after the valve job. I really wish I could have flowed it before, but I didn't have the flow plate. Because I guarantee a stock is probably like 140, 150. But anyway, at 500 it goes 202. And that's where it matches the stock casting that's ported. After that, after 500, the Procomp's beating it because it maxes at 236 without an exhaust pipe compared to 212. But in the lower lifts, it's the stock casting's better. Probably due to the 8mm and the tulip exhaust valve. This is just a nail head. So, also, but they need to remember too, this exhaust port on the Procomp's bigger. So something to think about. But anyway, let me take off the head so you can at least see the chamber side, and then I'll let you guys go. I'm glad you guys stick around to the end, because if you did, I totally forgot about the head, and I hate this part of the head. And several people have asked me to do a test like this, and I probably will at some point. I just haven't had time. But this is the chamber view, and I'll get to what I don't like in just a second. The chambers aren't that bad, but part of the reason why it flows so good at the lower lifts is you notice how it's cut out way away from the valve. That unshrouds it, so the lower lifts are going to be great. You can see the valve job's not that bad. It's just you've only got 3 angles that came in. This is with enlarging the valve size itself. There's just no material. So, I mean, I guess I could have gone to a 208 valve, but I really don't want to do that. But I had to go 205 just to be able to get the 45 to come all the way in. And that got some of the other angles too. The exhaust now has a radius, and they got blended. But as you could tell, even looking at the exhaust, a lot of that's gone. So it didn't get a lot of the radius in because it wasn't there. So it's kind of like a ugh. But that's, I mean, just to give you an idea, here's what I mean. See the CNC work? See how it's eating into the seat? It's got some dirt on it, sorry. I don't know what that is. It's weird because it's not in here. Oh, it's oil, some assembly lube. He took them apart just so I could flow it. But you see how that CNC head, CNC machine stuff right here? And it gets right into the seat. This was all the way to the 45 and into part of it. That looks like crap. Anyway, I guess the head just needs cleaned. It wasn't that when it left. But anyway, what don't I like? And people ask me this one all the time. There are certain heads where the guide locations, which you see in the intake bowl, not necessarily the exhaust, but on the intake, what you will see is the guide will stick up a little bit, say about, I don't know, here. It's where it probably usually is. About where my fingertip ends, that's where the guide should be, right? And several people have asked, does it flow more if you cut that off? Because it seems like it's in the way when you just have a guide just sticking out there. And my answer to that is, it doesn't help as much as you think. So if you have a guide that's sticking in the port and you just whack it off, you gain maybe, and I'm being honest, and I'll do a test to prove this at some point, you might gain a whopping 3 to 4 CFM. But what will happen, and this is how this one, the reason why I'm bringing this up, is because that guide probably was here, and they just let the CNC machine just destroy it. So now it's flush with the bottom, but that guide now, and I have my dial calipers, and let's face it, Mopar guys don't watch very much of my videos anyway, so there's not going to be a whole lot of content with this. But if you look at the guide, the total width or diameter, I shouldn't say diameter, the total length of that guide, it's now become really, really short. So if you have less support, so say you got a guide that's now went from something guide this big, which means it's got that much hold on the valve to keep it nice and guided, and then you reduce it to this, to shorter distance, what happens is that gives more room for the valve to wiggle back and forth, which then escalates the guide wear itself, which also escalates the wearing of the valve job out much, much quicker. So that 4 CFM you gain from shortening the guide dramatically reduces guide life, valve job life. In other words, it just really isn't worth doing. And that's how they are from the factory. So, ouch. I did not do that. The other thing is, you notice how it's not perfectly perpendicular? It's a good thing these seats are really soft, so they're easy to cut, get the job in. But this was a harder seat, and it is technically a hard seat. That the guide not being a perfect circle and perpendicular or flat, the pilot would want to shift, because I have a dead pilot system, each direction, and it gets harder to locate. So that's another reason why it's not ideal. I mean, you can see it on the exhaust, it does the same thing. Anyway, there's more information for you. These are Ferrea valves were used. Obviously got a back cut on them. And this is the exhaust valve. It's a nail head, so it's not as quite good flowing as a tulip. But there's your overview, and then you got both of them. Guys, remember, I'm no Superman. I do not port cast iron heads. I do not respond to Facebook or Instagram messages. The best way to reach me is through email, weingartnerracing@gmail.com. You guys take care.